You know, when you think of great leaders, what comes to mind? Probably conquerors or maybe these grand builders. But what about administrative genius? Today, we're diving into the leadership of the second Caliph, Umar ibn al-Khattab. His principles for running a state are honestly still mind-blowing. So the big question is, where did these revolutionary ideas even come from? Let's get into it.
This really gets to the heart of it, doesn't it? It's one of the most basic questions of leadership. Is a nation's treasury just a tool for power? Is it a personal prize for the winner? Or is it something else entirely? Umar's answer to this single question would basically define his entire government.
And there it is. What a powerful and frankly startling metaphor. He didn't see the nation's money as his. He saw it as a sacred trust, something that belonged to the most vulnerable person you could imagine. And this wasn't just some clever soundbite. It was the ethical core of his entire administration.
So where did this incredible concept come from? I mean, this idea of stewardship is pretty revolutionary. To really understand Umar's brilliance as an administrator, we have to look at where he got his inspiration.
Well, it turns out this wasn't something Umar just invented. He was directly applying divine guidance. This verse from the Quran gives very specific instructions on how a guardian has to protect an orphan's property until they're old enough to manage it themselves. Umar just took this sacred personal duty and scaled it up to the level of the entire state.
And that gives us what we can call the guardian's ethic. It completely flips the role of a leader on its head. You're not a ruler anymore, you're a custodian, a guardian. Your power isn't for your own benefit. No, it's this heavy responsibility to protect and nurture the public good with, the absolute highest level of integrity.
Okay, so that's the principle. But how does an ethic like that actually play out in the real world? If the state's wealth is a sacred trust, how do you pay the people who are supposed to manage it? The answer, well, it might surprise you. So get this. There's this story about one of Umar's governors. The guy was rich, and he offered to do his job for free. He saw it as his own personal act of charity. Now, on the surface, that sounds amazing, right? A public servant so pious, he doesn't even want a salary. But Umar completely disagreed, and his reason for it was just brilliant. Umar saw the bigger picture, the systemic risk. He understood that if you rely on an official's personal wealth, you're creating a system that's just begging for corruption down the line. But a fair salary, paid right from the treasury, makes that official independent. It frees them from having to look for money elsewhere and lets them focus completely on serving the public. It basically professionalizes public service. And again, this policy of Umar's came directly from what he had learned. He actually told the governor a story about how he once had the same exact idea, but the Prophet Muhammad himself told him to accept his payment. This established that public service is a duty that should be properly compensated, a crucial lesson passed right from the Prophet to his companions.
And this wasn't just a one-off thing. It was a whole system. The sources give us real-world examples. Salaries were designed to be reasonably sufficient, enough to cover a person's needs. The payments were regular, and sometimes they were even in the form of food, like a sheep every day for certain officials. This whole system made sure the administration was professional, independent, and secure.
All right, so these governors are getting paid fairly. What was Umar expecting from them in return? Well, he was incredibly clear about what their jobs really were.
I mean, just listen to that. What a powerful statement. He starts by saying what leadership is not. It's not about domination. It's not about exploitation or taking people's money. He's clearing the deck to completely redefine the role of a governor.
Now, instead of all that, their job was to serve. Just look at this list. Teach the people, build community institutions, provide security, organize public life, and hand out welfare. The governor was supposed to be a teacher, a protector, and a public servant above all else. Their authority was just a tool for the community's well-being, not their own.
And to give you a sense of the scale we're talking about, think about this number. Building 4,000 mosques in the Arab regions alone, that wasn't just about making places to pray. It was about creating community centers, places for education, and focal points for social and spiritual life all across this rapidly growing state.
So what's the lasting impact of this whole ethic of service and community building? Well, it's a legacy of stewardship, right? Where the leader's absolute highest concern is the well-being of their people.
This quote, for me, just says it all. It captures the personal weight of that responsibility. His concern wasn't just for the people nearby, it stretched to the most distant and vulnerable members of the community. It's just a profound statement from a leader who truly saw every single person under his care as part of that sacred trust. So, when you boil it all down, here's the lesson from Umar.
His administrative genius wasn't about clever tricks or loopholes. It was the direct result of a really powerful ethical framework, one he got straight from the Quran and the teachings of the Prophet Muhammad. Justice, effectiveness, compassion, all of it grew from that one core principle.
And that kind of leaves us with one final question to think about. What would change in our world today if every leader in every country and every organization viewed the power and resources they have with the exact same sacred care as a guardian watching over the property of an orphan? Just something to think about.